And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to exhibit this talent again. I consider this a very good compliment that came in on the C Spire text line that said, "No one does an exasperated sigh better than Dave." Well, you might be about to hear it again, considering the conversation that we're about to have with Stephanie Lee. She joins us, the executive director of the Mississippi State Board of Contractors. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having us on.
Well, thank you for coming in, because we need to talk about this. We don't want to talk about this. I'd rather we had nothing to talk about. We could talk about, fishing or something, but no, we have to talk about, I'm going to use probably an improper term, but I think it applies in this situation, jerks. We have a lot of jerks that when a disaster happens, immediately come running in to rip people off. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement. It's an unfortunate truth. I heard Commissioner Cheney on in the prior segment, and I agree with him that we have a lot of really good contractors in the state of Mississippi that do great work. But unfortunately, in times of disaster is when we see a lot of unscrupulous individuals coming out to take advantage of folks who are in a vulnerable position following storm damage.
I've always wondered, these people that do this, because it happens every time. And right before the break ended, I was telling you off the air about in the wake of Katrina, it seemed like, you couldn't turn a corner without running into 5 people that had, taken a Sharpie and written roof repairs or something on it and stuck it on their car and pulled up, and they weren't qualified. They either didn't know what they were doing or never intended to do anything at all. The problem here is, there's no way to stop it from happening. All you can do is warn people and make them aware that, hey, this is going to happen. These people are going to show up, and they will, won't they?
They will. And we learned a lot of lessons from Katrina. One of those, after Katrina, we established a disaster response team, which we dispatched to areas that were impacted by severe weather as soon as practical following like rescue and recovery efforts. Obviously, we don't want to impede emergency personnel services, but we'll go into those areas and assist with the licensing requirements and educating consumers about common scams that occur so that they don't fall prey and become victim a second time.
Well, and that's the thing, because when you go through a situation like that, and I'm not even necessarily talking about the Delta, although that is absolutely horrific. We had another one, as we were talking about, on Sunday that came through. And even if you had no tornadic activity in your vicinity, if you had hail, they'll come looking to talk to you about that as well. So this impacts a lot of people. But when that happens, you're emotional, you're upset, you want to get this fixed and done and over with so you can get back to your normal life. And that can sometimes lead you to make a hasty decision you should have thought a little more about.
That's right. People oftentimes want to put the pieces back together quickly. And while we certainly understand that, we do caution against rushing into making those repairs. Slow down, take a little time. Make sure you're properly vetting your contractors or those that you're looking at hiring to repair storm damage. Don't just take whatever license they give you. Go the additional step. Call our agency and verify that it is a valid license. Ask for their insurance and call their insurance company to make sure that's a valid policy. Legitimately licensed contractors are not going to be offended by consumers asking for that information, and in fact, they're going to encourage you to do that. So that's why it's important to make sure that consumers are aware. One, most construction projects in the state of Mississippi do require a contractor's license. Take your time and get multiple estimates, verify the credentials, get multiple references, and call those references and make sure they were satisfied with that work.
And see, what's interesting, it's why this is such a special situation. That's good advice no matter what you're going to be spending money on, whether it's on your home, your car, you're going shopping for a computer, whatever. You shop around, you get different quotes, you make sure you're buying what you're buying from somebody that, is going to stand behind it, someone that knows what they're doing. That's good general advice, but again, in that kind of an emotional disaster situation, a lot of the good advice just kind of goes out the window.
That's right, and those crooked individuals know that. They know you're vulnerable, and they're looking to take advantage of it. So they'll make promises. We hear stories all the time where they say, I'm doing 3 other projects in this neighborhood, but if you give me some cash up front, I'll move you to the top of the list. Again, that's just a red flag that consumers should look out for.
Yes, and the thing is, it's not just that you would have somebody show up that's not licensed and they would do subpar work. They would do something that 6 months from now you're going to have to get redone or repaired after they've done it. In a lot of cases, and especially that one, like you mentioned right there, they show up and say, hey, you slide me in some money here, and I'm just going to move you up to the front and we'll take care of it. You hand them the money, chances are pretty good you're never going to see them again.
You're never going to see them again. You're never going to get that money back, and the work's not going to be done.
And I would suspect that it's kind of hard to track these people down once they've done it and get the people's money back.
Yeah, a lot of these storm chasers that will come in looking to take advantage of people. They're transient, and they'll come in after the storm. They're slick talkers, and they'll talk homeowners and property owners into giving them money, and then they take that money and run, and they don't do the work, or they do poor work. And that's why it's important that we get this message out there to make sure that folks know, check those credentials, check those licenses, and make sure that they're aware that the license is required.
Yes, because and they may try to tell you differently when you tell them that. Oh, no, that's not the case. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I would like to clarify one thing, because that's a great term for them, storm chasers, but she's not referring to the people that get out there in their car and follow these storms around while they're happening and video it and report it to weather and whatnot. She's talking about people that literally go from disaster area to disaster area looking to turn a quick buck by cheating people.
That's right. Thank you for making that clarification.
Well, I just didn't want Reed Timmer to show up in the green room in 10 minutes going, hey, I want to make sure we got that covered. Now, is that all that you do really, is just make sure you vet them and you're good to go when somebody shows up?
As far as the consumer,
yes.
Well, you want to, like I said, get multiple estimates. You want to verify that you're actually comparing those estimates to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. What's the difference in the price? Is it a difference in the quality of the materials? Are you getting what you're asking for to get your property properly rebuilt? And then you want to check to make sure they're properly insured and verify that insurance is valid. Workers' compensation is important to make sure that they're properly insured for that. Don't fall for tactics where the contractor will try to encourage the homeowner to go and pull the permit. Then the homeowner may be responsible for the property, or someone gets injured on that property while they're working there. So those are all tactics that we see, and all things that we want to make sure that consumers are aware of before they enter into a situation where they may regret.
This is very adjacent to this, but I'm going to say this. If you know someone that has something like this happen, even if it's just a hailstorm and it messes up their house, they got to get a new roof. That's pretty common. It didn't happen to you, but it happened to them. Try to give them a little advice. Try to make sure that they follow these steps and do things the right way, because you're going to be thinking a little more clearly about it than they are, because you're not in the middle of it.
That's correct. Yeah. That's very good advice.
So it all comes back to being careful. Let me ask you this, and I'm just curious. In my experience, a lot of times really good contractors, when something like that comes through, licensed contractors that have a track record and they do great work, they're not driving door to door trying to drum up business. They're trying to figure out how to get done everything they need to get done and turning people down because they only have so much time. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's actually in the information that we distribute out to consumers. That's one of the red flags that we caution them to look out for, is to be wary of door-to-door solicitors, or those that are leaving flyers on your mailbox or on your door looking for work. Just like you said, after Sunday's storm and the hail damage that came through, you automatically had roofers popping up offering free estimates and storm damage surveys. So again, those are things to be wary of.
Well, and a lot of times in the case of a hailstorm, they show up before the hail has melted. That's not even hyperbole. That actually happens. So you have to be careful of that. It's the old truism, and this is true of everybody in every situation, I think. If they're too eager, you might want to take a step back and squint and look at it from a different angle because there might be more going on than you think there is.
That's right, and that also goes along with the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So if someone's offering to get to your work quicker or do it cheaper, you might want to take a second look at what they're offering.
That's exactly right. Stephanie Lee, Executive Director of the Mississippi Board of Contractors. Mike Cheney refers you highly. You and the whole board. He was talking about you guys doing such a fantastic job, and I would agree.
Well, and we certainly appreciate those comments from Commissioner Cheney.
Now, if he really likes you, though, he'll blow a turkey up for you. There's levels to this, so you got to ask him where your blown up turkey is next time you talk to him.
I'll sure do that.
I cannot wait to get a report on this conversation. Stephanie, enjoyed talking to you, and keep us up to date on this. And everybody, watch out. They need to contact you if they have any questions at the board, right?
That's correct. They can contact us at the board. Our number is 800-880-6161. We also have a search contractor feature on our website at www.msboc.us.
Fantastic.